Welcome to Business Prowess with Rafael and Dr. Andrea. Our show will bring you the best insights, ideas, and inspiration from successful entrepreneurs and CEOs in the business world. Don't miss out on the opportunity to learn from the best and stay ahead of the game. Sifu Rafael is the founder of 5 unique shows. He's a fitness professional, solutions expert, executive coach, and head instructor at Max Martial Arts and Fitness in New York. Dr. Andrea Adams-Miller is an award-winning international keynote speaker, best-selling author, and CEO of the Red Carpet Connection Publicity, Publishing, and Talent Agency, and CEO of IgniteYourRelationship.com. Known as the Dream Maker, she makes visionaries' dreams come true, bigger than they ever dare to desire.
Dr. Andrea, good Friday. How are you today?
Hunky and Dory, ready to go.
Oof, I love it. I love it. Hunky and Dory. You, my friend, are beyond exceptional in my book. And I do like writing in my book. So
Well, thank you so much. I will receive that. I appreciate that. Things have been going well. We've, as we've progressed with this show, I've really been excited about the kind of people that we have attracted to be on, allowing us to reach out to different audiences and have a really beautiful conversation about some things in some different fields that continue to grow and prosper in really beautiful ways. So I'm excited about today.
yeah, absolutely. And we do have 2 incredible guests, Dr. Jim and Jacqueline. Come on down. How's everybody doing today?
Fantastic. It's morning still for me. So it's a great day. Great way to start my day.
Great. Love it. So today's topic is a really cool one. I'm excited for it because it's unlocking elite leadership. What on earth does that even mean? Who wants to take it away?
Well,
go ahead, Jacqueline, please.
yeah, I was going to say, unlocking elite leadership, to me, when I hear that, it's bringing out the best in people so that they can actually lead with enthusiasm, power, and like empowering their people. And to be that elite person and that elite leader, you are attracting the most amazing people to your tribe, and the team that you're working with, they are truly your team and they feel treated like a team member.
Love it.
Yeah, and the inverse of this is a leader without followers is just somebody taking a walk in the forest. I think this concept of the attractive force that you have, that people want to be with you and want to follow your vision, is really important. And interesting enough, I think it breaks down into 2 elements. One is competency and the other is compassion.
Yeah.
So if you want to be an elite leader, somebody that people want to be around, they want to follow, you need to be competent, or you actually need to be good at what you do, because that's sort of table stakes. But on the other side, you also need to have a heart. You need to be compassionate and interested in people. And if you can combine those 2, you create the charisma that attracts people to you as a leader. So, there's a way to get there. Like, even if you're super technically competent, you go, okay, we're going to work on your compassion a little bit. And
That
if you're
emotional
super passionate,
intelligence,
you need to
right?
work on your competency a little bit. So, sorry, Jacqueline, I stepped on
No, I
you.
was just going to say that emotional intelligence, it's so important, that being the, it's a new word that I'm coining with a business partner, the authentism of, being an authentic leader, but because it's being authentic in yourself and knowing where you are in your abilities. As a leader, you also know when to ask questions, because you can't know it all, but having the compassion and empathy and emotional intelligence to understand and be able to read a room and know how to bring out the best in people.
It's very interesting listening to both of you, because I think that even Dr. Andrea and I, we may have slightly different ideas, but it's basically the same idea. Definitely EQ is probably the most important thing that we need to be an elite leader, but you also have to continue to sharpen your sword constantly. You can't not have been an elite leader 10 years ago and still think that the same things are going to work today. I think we need to continue to improve where we are as a human being, as a leader, in order for us to become that person that we can help others. Because without that, we're going to be lost.
Yeah. I think that the commitment to personal development is really an important element of being a leader. Just to your point, Sifu, that what worked 10 years ago won't work now, but also it's a modeling thing for your organization. So, if you meet, sometimes I'll talk to a CEO and they go, yeah, I'm kind of more in the teaching phase of my life than the learning phase of my life, right? And I go, okay, well, unfortunate, but here's the question. Do you want the people in your organization to learn, or are they all perfect right where they are? They go, oh no, well, I got lots of things they could work on. They go, well, then you probably need to demonstrate that behavior so that they know it's important that they continually learn and they invest in themselves. So I think as a leader, it's required, A, just so you get better, but B, so you communicate to your organization that constant personal development is part of what we do around here.
Somebody had actually shared with me that and this is something that I really took to heart, was that you need to take 10% of your income and actually put it in personal development, because it is that important. It's got to be a line item that we, and that. So the other key part of that is, as your income grows, so does what you need to learn and the amount that you're investing in yourself.
Now, wasn't that Tony Robbins that said we should spend that much money with him? No.
I don't remember. I heard it from Tony Robbins, maybe. I don't know. But I've also heard it, like Darren Hardy has said it.
Yeah. No, I'm joking, but he's happy to take your money.
They're happy to take your
right?
money. Yeah. But it should be also like, depending upon what you're reading, right? Or, are you part of, what type of mastermind are you part of? Do you have a coach? Do you have somebody that you're working with? Because that's all part of that personal development and leadership development and growing, both as a person and within your team, and, that balance of life and business.
Well, I know I've spent more than 10% of my income on personal development. To me, that is so. To me, that's even more than any. So I'm a past teacher as well, and I hold multiple PhDs, and all my academic learning, great. But without that personal development and the emotional intelligence, it's that which has made my life, which has allowed me to feel success, feel happy, feel satisfied, find balance. It's that is the crux of what is most valuable. So I really think there needs to be a shift of values moving forward in our whole world on if we could learn to get along with people and negotiate well and so that there's wins for everyone. I think that things could be much more positive. So we'll see. We got a lot of change going on right now. So,
I was gonna say, on that same vein, I keep talking about that. I feel like I've gone live like 4 or 5 times this week, talking about what we bring to the table. We have a choice, right? Every day as a leader, you have a choice to get up and decide how positive you want to be. Or, did you get up on the right side of the bed or the wrong side of the bed? If you got up on the wrong side, go to the right side. You need to actually start being positive, saying good things to yourself, and understand that you need to agree to disagree, but it's your choice to be positive and be that person who brings that positivity to your workplace, to wherever you go. And if we can do that, I keep thinking, what you just said, Andrea, like where we are in the world, we could raise the energy level of everybody, and how much more beautiful would it be? Like, get rid of all the negativity.
I wrote an article a while ago about people follow optimists. And so this positive energy that they exude is part of that attractive force, I think. I had a guy who worked for me, John, and he was a pessimist. I said, John, you're kind of a pessimist. He goes, no, I'm a realist. I'm like, that's what all pessimists say. And I said, look, here's the deal, John. You and I, we enter a situation. I'm optimistic and positive. We do all the work we have to do, and we end up in the same place, probably. but I had a lot more fun getting there than you did. So like, why not be optimistic? So yeah, I think you're right, Jack, with that positive energy just broadly is like healing at some level. So.
I always say if you get up on the wrong side of the bed and it's consistent, maybe you need a different bed.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
You're sleeping in the wrong place. And also maybe you're going to sleep in the wrong side.
Mm.
To be positive as a leader, it also encompasses the people that you surround yourself with. And I think that speaks volumes for everyone here and everyone listening, because my mom used to tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. And that still resonates with me. My mom passed a couple of years back, but I still hear her saying that. And it's not necessarily your friends, but it's everyone in your relationships, the people you work with, the people you accept to work with. Because a lot of times, and we're all here working with different people, but we've chosen to work with them. And is it because of the money, or is it because we have a better purpose? So this morning I had a conversation with somebody who desperately wanted me to give them so much money, but the value wasn't there for me. So the question is, why should I work with them?
Yep.
If we're not aligned, if it doesn't make sense for me. So even if they may be billionaires, are they still looking to make a penny? We have to look at that carefully. Decide who you're going to be in bed with. Make your bed.
Yeah.
It's funny. You know, I got influenced early by Think and Grow Rich. And one of the concepts that Napoleon Hill talked about in the book, and it's an old book for those who haven't read it.
A great book.
A great book, right? It's a classic of all time. But he talks about having a mastermind group of people around you that have your interests at heart, that are smart and contributing and valuable. And I think when you talk about this, so, you know, you are the aggregation of the 10 people that you spend the most time with. You can control that, right? You can decide who I want to spend time with. And I think what's hard is when there's somebody in your life, personal or professional, that is negative, that you need to exit or minimize that exposure. And that's not easy sometimes. Positive people are easy to spend time with, but when they're negative and they're kind of bringing you down, you're like, how do I end this relationship? And I think it's really hard.
It is. You know, I always say your vibe attracts your tribe. It's like that saying that, you know, and the same thing, your tribe attracts your vibe too. So it goes both ways. And I think, you know, that's, it's so important to have that mastermind group or that board of directors or the people that whoever you want to call it. And I was on a podcast the other day. I was interviewing somebody and we were talking about it from the standpoint of even young kids, right? Like starting at that age, letting kids know that, like, who are those people that you want to surround yourself with so that you have, and it doesn't have to necessarily just always be people of your same age. It's people throughout your life in different, you know, age groups and whatnot, so that you know that there's a safe group of people that you can ask questions to, have in your circle. And I think it carries up, and we all need to have that no matter where we are in our lives. We need to have that mastermind or board of directors of the people that we can count on to be both, you know, to cheer us on and to help us navigate the highs and lows.
1,000% agree with that, because a mastermind. Hey, by the way, we're having a mastermind tomorrow night at the Salt and Vine in Maryland. Is it Maryland, Dr. Andrea?
It's Silver Spring, Maryland. Yep.
Yeah. And I'm going there from New York. And for us to put something together like that, to get people in the same room that have the same ideas, but yet different. Because a mastermind, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong, should not be everybody thinking exactly the same way. It should be different concepts, ideas, but maybe a similar goal, right? And the goal should be to impact the world, and that's why God put me here, to make a difference, right?
Yeah. We do build and curate these CEO peer groups, and one of the things we talk about is that breakthrough thinking does not come from inside your industry. So your point about diversity, right? Breakthrough thinking comes from some other place that's not where you are, right? I remember talking to a guy who he ran a car dealership, and he said, "Oh yeah, I get together with 10 other car dealership owners, and we share all these ideas." I go, "Wait a minute." So 10 middle-aged white guys whose dad started a business are going to get together and have a brainstorm that nobody ever had before. How about you go spend time with somebody in a completely different industry, and you might actually have a new idea, but not in that environment. So I'm all over like curious, interesting, different people. You're not going to like everything they say, but once in a while you go, "Oh my gosh, that is a new idea, and I could really use that." And I think it takes some guts to go find those people.
Yeah. It's so important. We started something, a new business here called Missing Link Network. And that is, we take actually the mastermind approach to networking, and we get together weekly, and we've created these hubs, and we bring out certain things that we want people to focus on each month and break out into individual groups. And one of the guys yesterday said he was so thankful because he's just bought this store, and it's a shoe store, and we're going around the room talking and about what who he wants to go after. And all of a sudden people started to give him different ideas. He's like, "I never would have thought of that. I never would have thought of that." Oh, and then he said, "So I went back home and I made a one sheet, and I went out and I talked to 10 of these people that I had not ever thought of. And now they're coming into my store and bringing their, the whole thing is bringing their people in there because we've got great shoes for people who work on their feet a lot." And he just was like, he was beaming. And that's what, that's so important, right? So that, to have that excitement and help somebody else grow their business. Just love it.
Yeah. Well, for example, I have one of my businesses is martial arts. And everybody talks to me about, "Hey, this martial artist?" Yeah, I've met them. I don't socialize with them.
Yeah.
They're not in my networking. I mean, I'll say hi to them, but and the reason I don't even have a martial arts podcast because it's such a small world, even though it's huge. You drive anywhere, you're going to see a martial arts school. But when we can only think about martial arts and we can only talk about punching and kicking, we're stuck.
Yeah.
I don't want to be stuck, right? I don't want to be in quicksand with you, right? I want to be in the ocean where there's many opportunities. And this is why you can see the ocean in the background here. We have the ocean in the background with the blue skies because we need to be open like we are in the ocean to different possibilities. And when we limit those possibilities because we're talking to the people, if I only spoke with people in martial arts, gosh, where would I be today? Not where I am now.
Sifu, as your friend and co-host, I want to re-challenge you on that because
Okay, go for it. Let's do it.
Because I understand what you're saying, and I'd like you to expand and attach onto that. So, if you had a martial arts show where now people who are focused on martial arts are there, and then you brought them opportunities like Jacqueline and Dr. Jim to come on, and me to come on and talk about different things and how it relates to martial arts, but is outside the scope of martial arts. So now then it helps them talk about maybe one core thing and then talk about how that core thing in martial arts relates to the rest of the world, or how the rest of the world relates to that one thing. Now you have created an ocean for the people who only had limited view. Just a thought.
I love it. And that's why a lot of these places, they actually bring me to speak to them. So yes, I agree. But I don't want to be in a room that I'm even slightly smarter than everybody else. I want to be the dumbest person in every room I enter, and I am looking to learn from everyone, even someone who knows less than me, because they may know something different. So yes, I agree. We need to help as many people as we can, including martial artists. I'm not putting them down, but the martial arts world would be so much bigger if they looked outside of the martial arts, just like car dealerships, right? And the smart ones do that, because I know people in communities who will not stay in their community in order to grow. They go outside of their communities so that they can become bigger. But thank you, Dr. Andrea.
You're welcome. With love.
Oh, always.
You know, because it's interesting to me too, because I love so masterminding is something that I've always very much loved. I've worked for multiple clients where I help them build and create different masterminds, and they have done very successful in different price ranges, from a couple $100 to over $100,000. And what I loved about that is, and I guess my favorite part is to see how, like, some guy in plumbing could help a CEO of shoes, like, like they're two industries that are totally different. And yet when you start thinking about how is that person managing this, how are they handling like conflict resolution, or staffing, or even customer service, and then they are all of a sudden, then they can think, how can I apply that into whatever that we're doing? And I think it's really interesting, because sometimes I'll see or I'll hear people talk that are maybe in a white collar job that couldn't imagine how the blue collar job could relate to what they're doing. And I'm like, oh, you are so missing out, especially if that person's successful. What can we take from that? And yes, it may not directly jump in, but if we just modify it and add to it, how could that be so much more advantageous to what we're trying to build?
Mhm.
There's
Without
a
doubt.
there's a concept in improv that if you're doing improv with somebody and you say no to what their prompt is, if you will, like I'm walking down the street, like there's your prompt, and you go, no, I'm in a restaurant. You just ended the scene. So what they're trained to do is always say yes. And so I love, Dr. Andrea, the idea of, like, somebody has an idea. You don't go, no. You go, well, yes. And you try to extend the idea in a direction that makes it interesting. So it's accretive. It's additive when you're having that conversation with somebody. So I catch myself sometimes when I'm going to say no. I go, no, yes. And then I try to extend, and that keeps the conversation going, and sometimes ends up in some really cool places. So that's a tool I've seen used to try to find those great ideas.
I'm gonna say something here, Jim, and I love that concept of the and, right? But I've also heard but. So they put that person down.
Yeah.
I love it, but this is better, or this
Yeah.
do this instead. So we have to be careful with the language that we use on a regular basis,
Yeah.
because we may be shutting somebody down who was brilliant if we only allowed them to be.
We used to call this an okie butt. Oh, it's okay, but, and now I'm going to tell you why it's not okay, right? Okie butt.
Yes.
I think language, and that's the in my LEAP framework that I talk about, is it's leveraging communication, because the language that we use and how we speak, not only to our teams and the people that are in our lives, it's also how we speak to ourselves. It really, really matters. And being aware of that but of those words is so, we create an awareness journal, right? If you see yourself doing that, how can you actually almost like be aware and stop that process, so that we can actually flip the switch to be more positive? Because we don't want to put people down. Their ideas are amazing. And what the most powerful word that we can say is no, right? Because we can say no to something. But I do feel that that word "but" is almost like, ooh, let's just take it out of the English language.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, if we're going to talk about words like "but," maybe when we should on people.
Oh, I love that. I have a friend who
Right.
uses
So
that.
now, Sifu, you should talk. So
Oh my goodness, you just shit on me. But
Yeah, that's what my friend says. It's the greatest phrase ever, right?
Well, one of the things I'm loving this conversation because whether you're following what we're saying, we're really showing everybody unlocking your leadership comes from all the concepts we've been talking about. Having empathy, listening to another person, listening to their ideas without shutting them down, and giving everybody an opportunity to shine. And maybe when someone doesn't think they shine, showing them how they do. So that's where I love coaching. I love mentoring. I love helping someone unlock their potential. And it's because a lot of times I've had so many clients say, oh, I can't do that. And so I say, there's another word that I love. You can't do that yet.
Yeah.
But let's get you there, right? So follow what every one of these incredible human beings are telling you right now. You become an elite leader by unlocking the potential inside of you.
I've always, it's a bit of a God thing, but I've always said, if you can, the phrase, it's an older one, if you can believe it, you can achieve it. And I really believe that there's a limiter in our brains that if I can conceive of something happening, growing a $50 million company or getting a black belt in a martial art or whatever your thing, or getting a doctorate, if you can conceive that that's what you want to do, it is within you to accomplish it. Because God limits us. He doesn't give us ideas that we can't possibly ever achieve. If you think it up, you're like, okay, there is a way. I don't know what it is yet, but there is a way to get to this place. And I think that's part of what CEOs, I think, run into is when they're leading people, they see it. Now they've got to help everybody else see it, right? If we can visualize that future, then we can achieve it together. And some people struggle to believe in themselves to be able to accomplish those things. I think that's part of your job as a leader.
That's where I get to get involved. So I'm a master
Throw you another
neuroscientist.
softball.
Yeah. So as a master neuroscientist, with the ability with hypnosis and NLP and just reframing things, letting go of limiting beliefs and being able to believe what's possible. I mean, it is quite interesting to see what we can do and how quickly we can do it too. Just if ever you catch yourself saying I can't, what if you all of a sudden said, well, I won't, and taking ownership of that and say, well, I'm not doing it because I'm not doing it, not because I can't, and then who says you can't, who says, being able to question yourself that way is, a super, just little simple tools that people can start to do, and I call it meta monstering, because when I'm around other people who are skilled in the same things that I am, we constantly are challenging each other because we'll be like, who said, did you just hear yourself say that? And it's a good thing because it forces us to be responsible for what we say and our actions so that we can accomplish amazing things. So pretty cool.
I love working. It's like that I am statement. So to own it and say I am and I can, so that you really do believe in yourself, and it doesn't happen overnight. You have to keep repeating it. And so I work with my clients and I have them write things down on note cards and stick it up on different places so that they read it to themselves every single day. What is your I am statement? If you're not feeling that power, if you're not feeling that belief in yourself, well, let's flip the switch.
Sometimes people do that, and on behaviors, right? And not to get too tooky spooky here, but people say, well, I'm a procrastinator. I go, no, you are procrastinating, but you're not a don't make it your identity, right? Or you go, I'm an overeater. No, sometimes you overeat. That's different than you are. Like, don't make it your identity that I'm a thing. I have a behavior. It's like, hate the sin and love the sinner, right? You know, I don't like that I procrastinate, but it doesn't make you a bad person. You can make that better. So I really watch when people are using a behavior statement as an identity statement, and just got to pull those two apart. I think. I mean, so.
Oh, absolutely. You know, people do that all the time. And I have to state that it can happen in the opposite. I'm super ridiculously positive. And, you know, here I am post-op, you know, 3 weeks of these 2 major surgeries. And I am so determined that I'm 100% okay that I forget that I am not 100%. I am 100% okay, but I'm also not 100% physically able to do the things that I was doing, so that I overstep my boundaries of what I think I can do, and then have to backslide a little bit because of that. Because in my mind, you know, I'm cancer free, I'm moving on, like let's move on now. And then I'm like, oh, well, wait a minute, there is a little bit of a healing thing. Although the positivity, I saw my doctor this week, and he's like, you do realize that only like 1% of my, you know, clients would show up here for their 2-week post-op and be fixed up, dressed up, have flown across to the other coast and did something. And he said most of them, this is the first time they've showered and like left their house, you know, like, so, you know, and so there is sometimes that we can be so bombastic about what we can do, you know, that we don't listen to the other things that tell us that we maybe need to maybe make some softer decisions as we're doing that. So, and I noticed that with some of my clients, they'll want to move ahead with such gusto, and I don't want to pull them back, because I love that they want to go forward, but at the same time, they would go forward even better if they had just a little bit of more planning with that. Like, can you just give me like a buffer of 3 to 4 days, so that we can put this in place, so that way when you're saying this, you have this to follow with it. And so I think there's a fine line there, you know, of how we do that. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that.
Well,
I just want to say, Dr. Andrea, sometimes you just got to take the cape off and relax.
Yeah. I had a CEO that was relentlessly positive, same sort of profile. I mean, to use a Zig Ziglar, he never had a cold, but he had a warm once. You know, I mean, he just so positive. He couldn't be negative. And that was great. But he got himself into circumstances where he didn't, because he was so positive, he didn't recognize reality sometimes. So this is a case of an incredible strength becoming a bit of a weakness. So he's like, no, it's all going to work out. We're going to be great. And people go, no, we actually have issues here. We got to get these things fixed. And he just would not see them. When it ended up happening, because he overused the tool, if you will, he lost credibility with his team. You know, he doesn't know what the heck is going on, right? And I don't want to be a downer, but like there's a balance of like, I want to be positive, but I want to recognize reality at the same time, because that's credibility that, okay, you are aware. My dad used to have a saying, he'd go, and it's an adaptation of another phrase, but he goes, if you are able to keep your head when all around you are losing theirs, then you're not fully aware of the situation. That's the joke, right? And it felt like this guy was not fully aware of the situation in a negative way. So
I'm glad you shared that, because, you know, for most of me, I'd like to, like, even when things are really bad and people are really struggling, you know, I'm super positive about it, and yet still I'm like, okay, this can happen, but what can we do to make it positive? How can we turn it and keep it here? Or I don't want to break down and be crying and be miserable. How can I look at this and move forward with positivity, so that I'm not physically taking on the challenges of what's outside of me.
Mhm.
You know, it's taking the time to put in our schedules and to plan for the time of, as I like to say, measure, monitor, and adjust, MMA, right? We have to measure, monitor, and adjust not just our activities, but our actions and what we're thinking. And you know, for the person who is overly positive and doesn't want to see it, you know, helping them take that time to sit back and look at the picture is something. And I think it's a hard thing to for those of us who don't want to really look at what's negative and feel like, but almost like to plan for it so that we can take those times to build in that reflection and to see the whole thing and being able to, you know, where do I need to make an adjustment?
Good. I like it.
MMA is
Not
not
only,
martial arts, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
I
my mind
also,
was thinking that. My mind was thinking MMA moves.
MMA.
but not just where, but when, right?
Mhm.
When is the right time to make the adjustment? Because it may not be now.
Right.
It may have been yesterday, but now's the time. So I love the MMA because, you know, I do like martial arts, and
Mm.
I do teach it. But for me, it's always about being aware is so critical. Like Dr. Jim said, like
Mhm.
Jacqueline said, like Dr. Andrea said, your awareness is only there when you listen. Without listening, you may lose your awareness.
Mhm.
True.
You know, you guys might have heard my clock going off right now, and I just laughed because I'm like, my clock is behind, and it made me think of like, it actually was making me laugh thinking about this, you know, because when I think about like even MMA fighting, I interviewed an MMA fighter on a radio show I had years ago, and what I really learned from these two gentlemen is that, you know, MMA fighting is never about fighting with the other person. It's the spar that they're having in their head, you know, the fight that with themselves on what they can and cannot do and what they're capable of overcoming, and even with pain, and you know, to move on and move forward, and to be able to keep in motion. And then and for whatever, you know, with that clicking or chiming and realizing I must be have a low battery there, you know, thinking of myself, I have a lower battery than I'm used to. And so
Mhm.
having to operate and find balance on a different battery charge until my battery can be fully recharged, I realize I'm late. I'm running behind. And at the same time, you know, we have an ability to bend time, and and to create other opportunities for ourselves, and that is also in just saying no. I had to say no to coming this weekend to come to the mastermind Saturday. It just you know, the things that just to give you guys context in that, you know, when you've had a major surgery or something, if the physicality that your body needs to heal itself, and then to overcome the anesthetics and so forth, and then just to catch up in your own world, like you just can't do the things that you want to do. And it's not that I can't or I won't, it's that I shouldn't. I have to should on myself. I shouldn't be bending over and picking stuff up off the floor. First of all, I'm on a 5-pound weight limit, so that means
Mhm.
I can barely pick up the milk unless it's half empty, you know, and those things. But the energy last week doing this show for 45 minutes, this was the first time that I had co-hosted the show with him, and I it was all I could do to make it the 45 minutes. I literally was off the show, and that was like the first time, like this whole thing, I was good. I didn't cry about things, but I just cried and broke down. It was too much. And of course I had flown the whole day before. That was also too much. And I just didn't have the 45 minutes of energy to hold a show. And you know, and then the next day to do a 90-minute presentation on stage. I was only at like 75%. You know, we are not, I don't think that we are aware of how when we wake up in the morning, how much energy it takes to be who you are. Who you are on a normal basis until you don't have the energy to show up and stand up and be who you are. It's quite a different way of being, and on one hand, I hope people never have that, and on the other hand, it's wow, boy, is that a reset opportunity. So if even just saying that, you guys think about that in the morning. What if I didn't have the energy to wake up and do the physical things I do, and to mentally, physically show up and be the person that I want to be?
I love that, because if you consider your phone, you have to, right now I put it on my charger. So what is my charger? My quiet time, my bed. That is my charger. And that's why I want to make sure I'm in the right bed and get up on the right side every day so that I do
With the right
recharge.
person.
That also helps. And for those of you who are in the wrong relationship, life is too short to stay there. Get out, do the right thing. For yourself every day, you have to be grateful. So many people, the first thing that negativity starts to come out of them, no matter what. The first thing, how'd you do? I had a terrible night. Why? Why did you have a terrible night? Did you go to sleep? Did you read a good book? Or were you watching, scary movies or something aggravating on TV? I had a client cancel on me. He gave me enough notice, but he canceled because he was watching the presidential election and he could not go to sleep. So it affected his life for the whole next day. And he lost money. And I said, did you, by spending that time from your norm, it affected you in a negative way? Because no matter whether you watched it or not, what happened, happened. You had no say in it, except your vote, right? Because I voted. But that's the only thing that you could do at that point. So you just have to let things happen sometimes and find out about it after, so you can still have your life. So he lost a lot of money because he couldn't function the next day.
There's a when you look at how close the voting was,
Mm.
the people who are upset are really upset. I mean, there are people crying and not functioning, and I'm very concerned for them because to me, when you lose something that's important to you, to me, that's an opportunity for you to rally, to see what you need to do to have things in place, because it's an opportunity now for you to rise differently and see what you can do. Because regardless of who wins, there's going to be loss and there's going to be change. And I never want to see somebody who loses that when something like politics changes, that they can't have their forewithal of resilience within, especially because today you have not personally lost something, not today.
Mhm.
And so I want them to reframe that. Okay, so this did not go their way, and when this person goes into office, yes, there'll be a shift in their fear, but there still is timing. It didn't all happen. It's not like it all went away today. And so I want them to be able to find ground, and then now know what do you need to do to fix whatever has happened that didn't go your way. Because we all have opportunities as voters, and there's ways to get other things out and make awareness and issues. There's things that people can do. There's letters they can write. There's still something that everybody can do. And my mom is very much a strong Democrat who's extremely upset over this, and she has friends who are distraught. And so we've talked about doing a class to help people see where when you lose, it doesn't mean you've lost everything.
Mhm.
Find where your wins are so that you can recoup and do well. And for the people who are winning, even in that case, if you feel like you've won, well, just because you've won doesn't mean you win forever every day. How do you continue to stay in that course? So I've always on radio been politically indifferent either way, I don't
Neutral.
know how. Yeah, I just have found that this is where I need to be. I want both sides always to have a voice.
Mhm.
That's what's most important to me, and for us to be able to teach people that. And then I think that it works within corporate as well.
Yeah.
How do you work with especially in a corporate that has blue collar workers and white collar workers? How do you get them all to talk and get along? Because I know they're on two different sides, but they're yet for the same company. So where do you find the common ground so that you know how to rally up and make things work for yourself? So
You know, this is where like finding that common ground and getting people to believe in the vision and mission of the company is so important, and to be able to rally the troops together, I just think is so important to get people to come together. But one thing I actually just wanted to share, because I shared this the other day, is again, the election, there's going to be someone who's going to win, and there's obviously someone that's going to lose, and you can like it or you can not like it, but at the end of the day, we have to, number one, respect the presidency. Please respect it. You're not going to like it. You may not always like if your company changes and a CEO comes in. You may not like it, but you have to figure out the best way to work with them if you like the company or if you still believe in it. But number one, respect it. Number two, be positive. Know that no matter what, it's again, we as we were starting this, it's like the positivity, like, you have the choice to be positive and find the good in it. Be happy that you're actually living in a place where you actually can vote and understand that this is democracy. You're in a place that people cast their votes, and that's democracy. And be happy that we're able to be in a country that allows us to do that. You might not like the outcome. Wait 4 years. It's right?
Well, the good thing is that so many of us have lived through plenty of presidents.
Right.
We don't always like their policy. We don't like what's going on. But guess what? We survive.
Right.
Let's survive. Better yet, let's thrive. No matter who's in office, it's up to us how we lead our lives. We are coming to that time where I'm going to give everybody.
Can I just one quick?
Absolutely.
We call this yelling at the rain. So it's raining. There really isn't much you can do about it, and then you're going to yell at the rain and go, "It's raining." You're like, your choice is like, okay, it's raining. Now what am I going to do? And the election is one of those. We cast our vote. The decision came down. Like it, don't like it, doesn't matter. It's the rain.
Right.
It affects us all equally at some level, maybe some more or less than others, but that's the environmental. You can only control what you can control. It's not worth spending calories yelling at the rain. It's not going to change.
Right.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. I loved this conversation. I loved all the different aspects of it. So this was almost like a mastermind, if you will. It was beautiful. And what I'd love to do now is give everybody a quick 30, 40 seconds to tell us about you and why somebody should reach out to you. Because, by the way, if you're listening to this show, Dr. Jim, Jacqueline, Dr. Andrea are incredible people that you need to get to know. So, Dr. Jim, you're up.
Yeah, so I run a business called The CEO Project. We focus pretty exclusively on CEOs of large, medium to larger companies, so 25 million up to 2.5 billion. We build a mastermind group, think of it as an advisory board around them of like size, like complexity companies, but from different industries. So you get that diversity of thinking that we talked about before, but because they run something about your size, they'll get your issues. And what we see is by focusing on the point of constraint, this most critical issue in your business, and bringing that to the group, you get a very different outcome than trying at it yourself. I think the further element is trying to become a better CEO. Like going to get an MBA doesn't do it for you. I mean, I've got one. It doesn't help. They don't teach you how to be a CEO. But what teaches you how to be a better CEO is modeling other really high performing CEOs. And if you're with a group of 7 or 8 really high performers, you go, ooh, I love how Jacqueline is doing this. I'm just going to take that idea into my own style because I could be better if I did it the way she did it. And so you not only get sort of high impact stuff on your critical issue, over time, you become a better and better and better CEO kind of on the journey with this group of 10 people. So
I love the name. I love the name, ceoproject.com. Everybody go there. And thank you, Jim, for being here with us today. Jacqueline, you're up, Jacqueline.
So it's obviously Jacqueline Strominger, and I have, my company is Leap to Your Success, and we work with entrepreneurs and business owners and high performing professionals who want that leap to that next level. And we work with a framework, the LEAP framework, which is leveraging your communications, energy, action, and performance. And everybody who comes in, we do both one-on-one coaching and group coaching, but we do an energy leadership index assessment where we're able to actually look at the attitudes of you and your teams and how you interact and how you think of things and where you actually may be having a block and you may not realize it, and then working through those and creating action plans so that you can, as I love to say, MMA, measure, monitor, adjust, so that you can propel and perform at a higher level.
Love it. Thank you. Leaptoyoursuccess.com, another great website. Dr. Andrea, you, my friend, every time I see you, I don't just see you, I see that flowing cape that you wear. I love it. Tell us a little bit about why somebody should reach out to you besides you being incredible.
Well, I guess if you're going to call me a superhero, it would be because I really do know how to work with people that are high level people, celebrities, athletes, CEOs, high level entrepreneurs who want to be able to have that peak performance of their mind and brain. Because if we can massage your mindset to be at that level of where you want to be and clear all those cobwebs and obstacles out of the way, then you're going to make that level happen and create an amazing future, bigger than you ever dared to desire. And, with that, I'm a publicity consultant and a business growth strategist. And, there's so many other things I bring to the table to help you with events and to publish and to be able to promote and publicize yourself, that it's really a cool world to be with a red carpet connection. So it's really about creating that kind of connection with other people in the world too. I do have a $15 billion Rolodex of wonderful people that might just be the people you need to be rubbing elbows with. So let's make it happen.
Love it. Love it. I want to thank everybody for joining us. If you watch this on the replay, share it. It was a great episode. Little mastermind right here. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Have yourself an exceptional, literally exceptional rest of your day. And we look forward to seeing you next Friday. I am thrilled that Dr. Andrea and I are able to bring you incredible people like Jacqueline and Dr. Jim. Thank you both for being here with us. Take care. Have an incredible rest of your day. Happy Friday.